gang, gang. Hey, nothing but love and respect. You might have some cool fans, but mine are the best. We've been through it all, went to war when duty called. Never left a man behind, we move as one is super strong. I don't want followers, that implies I'm the leader. I'm not the captain, I just gave them something they can believe in. I hold the lamp in the darkness, but they're the light that I needed to see the road that we walk in between the angels and demons. And my fans have my back. Hate us if your feelings don't like facts. And my fans will fight back. Beat you with the keyboard you've been using to write back. I guess we need each other like both sides of the battery. We the army, we the homies, we the gang, we the cavalry. We're brothers and sisters, we hold it down like we gravity. Can't nobody break the bond that made us all family.
Me and my fans, we don't care what anybody say. Middle fingers to whoever in the way, man. Me and my fans, we gon' be together till the grave. It's a gang till forever and a day, man. Me and my fans, we don't even trip in the hate. We the I don't give a fuck in our veins, man. Me and my fans,
we the hangover gang. Gang, 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 gang.
Oklahoma weather can dish out some of the worst punishment in the world. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Tuttle. But now you can fight back by installing Class 4 impact-resistant shingles from Ferguson Roof Systems. These shingles can withstand large hail, heavy rain, and hurricane-force winds, all while keeping your home safe and dry. And the best part? This upgrade is completely free for many homeowners. So call today to start reaping the benefits these Class 4 shingles bring, including a discount on home insurance. Only at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey there, meteorologist Tuttle back with you again. It is about 9:35 here on a Tuesday night, and we have some storms to talk about, so I'm glad you're here. We do have a threat of severe weather that has returned to Oklahoma, so we're going to tell you about the threats that will be in those storms, where they will occur, when they will occur, all that kind of stuff. So you came to the right place. Plus, we'll give you a forecast here for the rest of the week on into the upcoming weekend. And yes, we are getting into the 10-day model range of Thanksgiving. So we're going to take a look and see what's happening on Thanksgiving. Here's a hint, it might involve storms, which is so stupid ridiculous. But we'll get to that a little bit later. So meanwhile, thanks for watching, joining. Make sure you hit the share button as you're watching this on your Facebook. You can hit it and just share it right to your wall. All you do is press a button, does it all the rest of it for you. Make sure you like and follow the page on Facebook and on YouTube. Make sure you hit the bell for getting your notifications and all that kind of stuff. So I see you, Christopher, out there on YouTube, waiting for Jim to check in. I'm sure he's there just a moment away. And he always thank you again for the support you do, both on just sharing all this information, but also when you do it financially with the Facebook stars or YouTube chat support, all that kind of stuff. It's all appreciated. All right, well, let's take a look and see what's happening here for you for your upcoming period of time. All right, let's go to the map here. Now, this morning, it was a lot milder, you may have noticed, in some areas of the state. We had a weak front up to the northwest, so it did cool things down in the panhandle. Otherwise, lots of 50s in here, quite a bit more on the humid side than it has felt in the last few days, so the humidity has returned. But that front is stalling out and weakening, and we'll show what that means to your forecast here in a minute. Meanwhile, today's temperatures, boy, they didn't quite get as good as high as they did yesterday and even the day before in some cases. It was much warmer out here in northwest Oklahoma the last couple of days. Today, you guys are opposite. You're on the cooler side, whereas all the heat built up down here in southern Oklahoma, 78 degrees. Down there in the southern counties near the Ardmore area, 71 in Tulsa, here in the upper 60s near 70 in Oklahoma City. So a really nice day overall, and temperatures out there now, of course, have cooled back down into the 60s, though, south and east, but into the 40s, up into the panhandle. And we do have, like I talked about, a weak front that moved in, but it has already fallen apart. And I'm having a tough time even finding the residual in the surface map. Let me see here. We got a north wind here. Let's see, a north wind there. This is all chaotic. Boy, I don't even know what happened here. What happened to my winds? Maybe something like this. That's a really sad looking cold front. So what that means is it didn't make it very far. It's falling apart, and actually that ended up might being just a boy, that's just a mess. So when they get this weak, man, they're hard to find on the fly. So needless to say, it ain't gonna do any much good to you. If you're wanting some cooler weather from this one, you're gonna have to wait till the next one. But what it does do is it helps to pull in the moisture back into Oklahoma, because the moisture will kind of converge along that boundary. The Storm Prediction Center does have a categorical risk of severe weather. This is what they call a marginal risk, meaning it is borderline. We've talked about that for the last few days. They do, however, draw a little circle for tornadoes here over central and southern Oklahoma, down into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. Also, circle right here in the central part of the country and the state for wind and also for hail. So all three parameters for severe weather types expected here, but again, marginal, which means, you know, most of this will be okay. There'll be a few events, and that's about it. If we do look at the wording on here, they talk about 1,500 joules of CAPE, heating up in the afternoon and evening. Deep layer shear will support storm organization and some isolated large hail and damaging winds. Although overall tornado potential appears limited, it may be maximized near the Red River vicinity, where low-level shear will be greatest and the potential for an isolated supercell appears the highest. So, keywords there. It does mean the tornado threat is low, but it is not zero, and we're getting to the meat of that here in a second. Meanwhile, the analogs do show kind of a bullseye still here over Oklahoma City and points south into North Texas for severe weather. They break it down into hail. There's wind right there, and then hail right here. So, actually kind of more of a hail event than it does have a wind or tornado threat. And the hail size is actually pretty decent for this time of the year. So attention roofers. Okay, so here's a look at the upper level energy that's coming in from the model data for tonight. And again, the brighter the colors here in the jet stream pattern equals the greater the lift. And you can see that lift is starting to approach here tomorrow. This is during the afternoon hours. So we have it's basically an open wave trough axis. Sometimes we get an upper level low, that'll come through, and I'll usually denote it with like an L on the map. But we're not going to have an L on the map this time around, just an open trough. But it's an area of lift, and it does create showers, clouds, some thunderstorms if conditions are right. Anyway, that'll move through here during tomorrow evening hours. So quick mover. Here's midnight, and most of that energy is now pressing east into now Arkansas and Missouri, so keeping the showers and storms going on there, whereas we start to calm down across the rest of Oklahoma, and then things are looking pretty good. Could see a little squeezing of another little weak ripples of energy coming through here for Thursday and a Friday. May generate some cloud cover. Earlier model data had a few light showers out of it, but that's looking less likely. This little batch of energy coming in looks like for Friday may help to trigger a few showers in northeast Oklahoma into Missouri. Otherwise, very light stuff there. Nothing big, nothing severe, anything like that. The main kit and caboodle is coming in for Wednesday afternoon. So if we do take a look at the severe weather overlay with shear and CAPE, we talked about this many a times. The models were slow to react. It's just like, they find it hard to believe, almost, to get the instability in here for storms. And if we were to just take a point sounding down here, maybe across the southern part of the state where conditions are a little more favorable, just to clean things up and make it simple representation, we do have a very decent shear profile in the atmosphere. LCLs are pretty low as well. Significant hails in the algorithms do go up to around 2 inches or more in diameter, so that is significant size hail that is on the table, with CAPE values up around 1,500. So this is a marginally severe weather event, which means, what does that mean, Aaron? It means most of the storms will behave, but some of them will contain this large hail and potential for some damaging winds around 60, and then we'll see about a tornado or two. Where are they going to be located? Well, let's take a look at that as well. Let's see. I'll tell you what we'll do first. Let's do this. The best indices right now for potential tornado would be across southern Oklahoma in this kind of shaded area you see here, but it does stretch up toward Tulsa, but a little higher down here just north and west of Dallas-Fort Worth. So models do kind of favor this area as well. So heads up down there, North Texas, for a freak tornado event with this particular system. Can't rule it out, but otherwise pretty low here in Oklahoma City because we're right on the border of that. Now the storms do indicate some hail. This is max hail size, and the hail size goes anywhere from about 1 inch to the yellow areas is about 1.5 inches in diameter. A little bit better streaks showing up down here in North Texas going through Dallas. You might get some golf ball size hail down through Dallas. And keep in mind that the analogs did show if you get a freak storm in the right place, right time, that can really tap into the indices, you might get some giant hail, which is greater than 2 inches in diameter, but that would be the outlier, would not be the norm. Now, if we do talk about damaging wind gusts, there's some hints here in the data that there's going to be a few pockets, but it's not a widespread damaging wind event, thank goodness. So we've got that going for us, and overnight overall rainfall amounts are pretty decent as well. You're looking probably anywhere from a half to an inch of rain in many areas here from the I-35 corridor up and down north-south, all the way down to Dallas-Fort Worth, and then points east. We're going to find some pockets that get up around 2 inches because that's just the way it is when you get some of these heavier thunderstorms. Okay, so timing on all of this. Let's do that, and then I'm going to show you Thanksgiving. Okay, so we'll start you off here for, let's do tomorrow morning. Okay, so here's 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. So some clouds around. You might see a few sprinkles here and there. Otherwise, this is not the rainmaker yet. As we head into noontime, you should see some clouds and some storms starting to build up here across south central Kansas. That'll be the beginning stages that continues into northern Oklahoma. So by the time we hit 2 and 3 o'clock, you see some scattered showers and storms bubbling up here, all the way down to Oklahoma City by 4 o'clock. So this is just the beginning of the event. So this event is actually starting at a reasonable time, not late, and it will be out of here relatively early. All right, so there's 5 o'clock. So if you do have a commute here in Oklahoma City, you are expected to see some showers and storms rolling through, so keep that in mind. Tulsa, it'll also be in the latter part of your commute toward the 6 o'clock hour coming in from the west, but that will stretch up from southeastern Kansas all the way along the I-44 corridor on down to the Lawton region. So again, pockets of these will be some pretty heavy thunderstorms through 7 o'clock. And here is that little excitement down here in Dallas-Fort Worth area. This nice little supercell the models seem to really harp on and like down here. If I were to plot a forecast line, just curiosity, let's see. So their winds are stronger in that area. The hodograph is much better. So there's actually a stronger signal for tornado down there in North Texas than there is in Oklahoma. So keep that in mind. I would not be surprised to see a tornado or two down here in North Texas between the Red River and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. All right, pass that on. Okay, so here we go. It's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You can see how they are pressing all the way through into eastern Oklahoma, 10 o'clock and 11. And would you look at this? Midnight? Look at that. We're not waking up at midnight going, what in the world's coming into town? Instead, you're sleeping like a baby. So there you go. Some good news there. So that'll be some pretty good showers and storms, again, mostly along that I-35 corridor, then all east. So far western Oklahoma, if I go back to the beginning of this, the closest the models really have rain, about north and south line that pretty much runs out of the Weatherford area, maybe as far west as Clinton, but other than that, it's mainly east of this red line. So that will include Enid, and you guys are in Kingfisher, then all the way down to Lawton, so all the communities out here southwest of Oklahoma City as standard. Okay, so what about Thanksgiving? And we'll show you the 10-day forecast. And oh wait, I lied to you. I want to show you this as well. With the front that comes in over this next 36 hours, it will bring some colder air with it. And with skies clearing out, we should get a nice cold morning on Friday. Looks like the coldest morning of the upcoming 6-day, 7-day period. So there will be a few pockets of 20s thrown in here. Otherwise, lots of low 30s. Here in Oklahoma City, the model, this blend of data says 36 degrees, but it could easily be 33. So if you have any tender plants, anything that needs to be indoors, either cover it up or bring it in. We've had a few mornings like that, kind of dipping in down into this area. So if they've been doing so well thus far, then they might still be okay. But needless to say, there is your alert as to what's coming. Okay, now the Thanksgiving situation. Okay, so the models will go out at least till, what is this? We're on Tuesday afternoon. So Tuesday afternoon, now I will again warn you, it's just one model. It's way out there and it's likely to change a little. The signals that we've been watching have been all over the place. All right, so in other words, there's been no consistency. So today would be the first of a good strong signal. We will watch tomorrow and the next day to see if this strong signal continues. And then we'll just play with the timing and the location as we go in each step. But for right now, let's have a good line of thunderstorms that roll through Missouri into southeastern Kansas, back in Oklahoma City metro area, all the way back down to Lawton and into west central Texas. And this is on Tuesday evening. So if you are traveling, again, grain of salt, but if this were to pan out as it is stated, you will run into some showers and storms on your travel. If you look up north and west in Colorado, that looks like a lot of snow to me. So happy for those guys. Let's see, we'll go through time here. We'll step it through and see what happens as we head into Thanksgiving Day. Again, that was Tuesday evening, so some really good storms there. Looks like some snow zipping through Kansas, by the way, Tuesday night and Wednesday. Don't even bother asking me how much. First off, it actually has to happen, for one. And then, with the ground temperatures warm, I don't expect much of anything unless you're out in Colorado. Okay, so now this is Wednesday afternoon. High pressure builds in. So the day before Thanksgiving looks good. All right, now if you're still traveling out eastbound, you got this mess to go through. So you're chasing it. Then there's some new stuff way out here in the western coastline. There'll be some fits if you're flying out the west coast. Let's see. All right, so here we go on Wednesday night. High pressure builds in, so the central plains looks good. Travel trouble spots now for Thanksgiving morning if you're late to the game. We've got east coast rain and west coast rain and snow in the higher elevations. All right, let's go on into Thanksgiving itself, and this is where the model runs dry. In other words, it ends. Again, far east coast, far west coast, and everything's quiet in between. So the actual Thanksgiving Day holiday looks pretty decent for about 90% of the country. That little disturbance, though, out ahead of it, may give you some fits if you are traveling through that range. Okay, there's your temperatures over the next few days. This is Oklahoma City, but the trend will continue across the state. The real easy thing to do, since Oklahoma City's in the middle, to make this work out for wherever you live, is if you live south. So you draw the state in half, all right? So you got I-40 north, you got I-40 south. Since we're right on I-40, if you live north, you just subtract a few degrees. If you live south, you add a few degrees. That's it. That's all you have to do for this time of the year. And so just give you a general idea what you can expect. But you can also use my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It'll break it down for you and give you specific numbers if that's what you need. But Saturday morning, it's got that cold stuff. And Friday morning, I showed you Friday morning. This particular model blend likes to keep a little warmer, but it's been back and forth between the 30s and the 40s. And I've been saying for the last couple of days, these are probably the coldest mornings, both Friday and Saturday, so keep that in mind. Got a little cool morning on Monday, and then we start to warm up a little bit for overnight lows in advance of the next cold front. And now this front's coming through, not much with it, so don't expect anything this period here except for just a cool down. And that will help to cool things down as we head into the next weekend where it won't be quite as warm. So we're leading off with close to 40 at night and 50s during the day, whereas this weekend, Miles cooled it down a hair in the last couple of runs, but otherwise closer to 60. So we'll see. It's not a huge difference, and every time I look at data, it varies just a little bit. But the trend here that we're going to see is up and down, up and down. And I will show you this as an example, and I haven't even verified it yet, so don't ask me if it's legit. But here's just kind of an idea when you go up and down long term. So down and up. Ooh, I like that 81. Down and up. Now, if we look here, it includes, it goes all the way to Thanksgiving Day before. So on that Wednesday. This got 38 degrees in Oklahoma City and 49 for the high. So a little cold with that high that builds in, but at least the storms are out of here for that particular time frame. So that's kind of a sneak peek there. What we could potentially expect for Thanksgiving. All right, so that's what I've got here for you. All right, let me look at a couple of comments and see if you guys had anything to say. Nancy's in the house throwing me a bunch of stars over there on YouTube. Appreciate that. Let's see. What else? So, got the usual. I don't see Jim out there tonight. Oh, Jim. I'm missing you, brother. All right, he'll probably catch the replay. He might not even get notified. Who knows? May have lost his Wi-Fi. What's up, Larry? I see you on Facebook. Michelle waving the hands. Maddie, good to see you. Jennifer, Karen, as always. Heather, I see you waving your hands. Robert in the house. Altus, yeah, way down there in southwest Oklahoma. Don't expect much for this storm event down there. A little too far west and south. Let's see. It's weird because Altus, it's a place where in the springtime, storms like to start in your backyard. But when you leave spring, it's hard to get a drop of rain down there. So it's feast or famine. Deb, I see you. Good to see you, Nate. Robert, send me some stars. Thank you, sir. Cheryl, I see you. Keep going down. So Mary is checking in. Stephen. I'm not going to say what you said. Deb and Suzanne. Late to the party. Rain in Oklahoma City tomorrow. Oh, good grief. So that would be an understatement. So yeah, anytime after about 3:30 Window opens up for enough clouds to get some showers, and thunderstorm is building up. So they should be going by 4 o'clock here around central Oklahoma. So when it kind of gets just stormy from there, but it's a short window. I think we have until about 6:30, maybe 7 at the latest, and it's gone. It's moved out of the greater Oklahoma City metro area. So we have a very small window to get it. And then after that, it's smooth sailing for us, and then we'll track those storms south and east from there. And I'll have to keep an eye on to see if we have any potential tornadoes. Right now, the best data is in south central to southern Oklahoma. So that, in other words, we have to draw a line roughly. I can't, rule it out here in Oklahoma City for a freak event, but it's the better conditions is down from, say, Pauls Valley, Paoli, down through Ardmore, and then picks up once you cross over the Red River, Gainesville, down toward Dallas. The indices a little bit higher in North Texas than they are in southern Oklahoma. But they're there enough to where at least I have to keep an eye on things for you. Otherwise, a little bit of hail, a little bit of wind. Let's see, Nicole, I've heard the T word being thrown around. Is there a risk? You must have just woken up, Nicole. Come on, man. I cannot help now but picture Biden every time I say, come on, man. Because we've all said it, but now that he says it all the time, that's all I picture now when I hear, come on, man. Whenever I'm 75 years old, I'm sure I'll say a lot more than, come on, man. But he may not want to hear it because I may lose my filter. All right, let's take a look. Let's see. What was the question? The T word? Yeah, it was the T word. And Amy recovering from storms or recovering from surgery. Okay, so let's do this. Let me load this up for you. I verbally said it, but since some of you are late, I'm just going to jump right to the chase. Cuts right to the chase, right? Okay, so this is the greatest tornado threat, which is in this bounded color region, which goes from Lawton to Norman to Tulsa to Bartlesville. So this is where the best indices are. Nothing north and west, all on this line, and then points south with the better concentration kind of in this sweet spot here. All right. So it doesn't mean something can't happen here, or even Oklahoma City because we're right on the edge of it. But it just means that the best potential is down here. And it's not even that great. But this time of year, they typically aren't. But again, I do expect some monkey business, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. Anyway, and then we'll also have some hail with these thunderstorms. And these are on the range of around 1 1/4 to 1.5 to maybe golf ball size. Now, we did look at some analog data, which did suggest if conditions are just perfect and right, and you get a supercell that's by itself, and it can tap into some brief instability, it can get up to around 2 inches, or maybe a little greater than that. So that would be giant size hail. So again, the roofers will be happy. And then the hail or the wind speeds, there are some gusts indicated where the line starts to mature. Southern Oklahoma, southeastern Oklahoma, up around 60 miles per hour. But by far and large, there's not a huge signal for damaging wind. So the outlier would just be the supercell storms. That's typically what would cause those, and that's probably why the models are kind of hinting down here, because you're more than likely to have supercells develop in this area, North Texas, and in southern and southeast Oklahoma, either embedded in the line or maybe just kind of out ahead of it, or if it's a broken line, they're kind of by themselves. So that's the signal in the model data, which jives with what I got thinking. And then if you're really, really late, you want the timeline again. Here's 4 o'clock. So let's see, here's 3 o'clock. See stuff starting to build, bubble up. That's why I said about 3:30 here in central Oklahoma. But then there's 4 o'clock, so there's your bubbling thunderstorms. There's 5 o'clock already rolling through Oklahoma City and surrounding central Oklahoma. And if we, Mary, I saw your comment. I probably will. He meant to say derecho. Yeah, it's a complicated weather term. He was never gonna get right because you're not a meteorologist. And anyway, it was a goof. It was a Sharpie moment, like what Trump did with the hurricane. But when you try to talk weather terms and you really don't know, and you got a person feeding you a line, you're bound to mess that up. But anyway, so yeah, that's what he meant. But anyway, we've got storms out here in northeast Oklahoma from Tulsa area back into Oklahoma City at 6 o'clock, and then here's 7. That's why I was saying they move out pretty quick. So the Oklahoma City metro area looks like it's left the building as far as storms go. They now stretch from around Norman to Shawnee, and then back up north and east from there, and down south from there to Paoli and Pauls Valley. And that will continue on southward. Here's the 8 o'clock hour, 9 o'clock. through Muskogee, McAllister, and then 10 o'clock around Flore, Poto, northeastern Texas, and they're pretty much out of state here by midnight, which means Arkansas and Missouri will see some storms. And I did not discuss you guys, so let's see how those storms hold up. I expect them to weaken quite a bit just because of the loss of daytime heating and everything, so let's take a look. Okay, so this little signal here still shows some embedded strong storms that leave the southeastern county here of Oklahoma, coming to southwestern parts of Arkansas. And that is around 11 o'clock there, and then there's midnight. So what I see now in the line, you see how this line is bowed out like this, but the core is kind of broken here, and then you have some rain back in here. So what this means is that the whole line is collapsed. So in other words, all the air has rushed out of it. So you can potentially get a little leading edge of some damaging wind as that happens. So maybe in this area here of western Arkansas as this whole storm system collapses. And then after that, it should be toast. So we'll go through a couple hours. You should continue to see this weekend. There's one frame there going through Little Rock at 1 o'clock in the morning. There's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Actually, surprisingly, it kept that damaging wind line continuing. Oops, didn't want to draw that. And then there's 4 o'clock coming on the east side and 5 o'clock. We can take a look at the wind gust to see if there's anything that comes out of that. That's typically a damaging wind indicator, but usually they don't last that long. So we'll see what happens here. All right, so some gusty winds. There we go. So we see the yellow right here. There's a wind gust up around 51 miles per hour. So that's in that cluster. If you kind of visualize it here, you can kind of see that bow I was talking about like that. All right, let me see here. There's a little pocket there. Yeah, see, it's a lot weaker. There's still some signals, but this is only around 40, just still close to 50 miles per hour. So it's not that big of a deal, but that's the look of it on the radar view. So you might get some brief pockets of small areas of damaging wind out there in Arkansas with that line. That's going to be about it. And I wouldn't even worry about it in Missouri because it's usually even weaker in that part. But we'll take another look. Let's see if you guys get any wind with the line. And you don't because you're on the northern fringe. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Let's do this. For your storm intensity. And then I might as well just show you Kansas and Dallas after this. All right, so there's Kansas City rolls through at, is it 6 o'clock? Yeah, about 6 o'clock in the evening. Pretty good line of storms there. And then I'm already starting to see a weakening trend as it's moving into central Missouri. Oh yeah, weakening pretty fast from Springfield to Columbia. It hangs on as far as some rain goes, but other than that, it's nothing to write home about. It's pretty sad. So just some beneficial rain for you guys in Missouri. And then we'll go ahead, might as well hit Kansas again. This has actually started, I think, earlier in the afternoon for you guys around Wichita. So there you go. That kind of blew up right there on top of you around lunchtime. So around 12 or 1 o'clock. And then that quickly moves off to your east. So you don't get much time to get the action. By mid-afternoon, it's already pushed out of your region. But there's some good storms there in southeast Oklahoma. And then finally we'll go to Dallas, and that is where the best instability is and resides, and the best shear. So odds are the better threat of severe weather. Let's see. There we go. So this actually shows a helicity track, a long-lived helicity track, which could indicate some pretty decent-sized hail, and yes, potential for a tornado. We looked at a sounding down here earlier, which looked pretty good for shear. Directional shear and speed shear and all that kind of stuff. So it's on the table down there. Anyway, it doesn't keep it going for too long because that's 8 o'clock and it's already looks like it's starting to weaken a little bit. There's 9 o'clock going through Dallas, Fort Worth, and Rockwall, Plano. Still a little helicity track even for this little guy at the 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock hour. So the storms, the severity of them have lasted longer in that area and has a classic supercell structure. Nice photograph. So, all right, there you go. So it looks like you might have to have a little mini severe weather event. That might be a sleeper event. I don't know how well they're talking about it down in Dallas-Fort Worth, but looking at the latest model data, I would be prepared for some tornadoes in that area from north of Weatherford through Dallas-Fort Worth, kind of down to the southeast a little bit, maybe toward Tyler, kind of in this region here. So we'll see. That's North Texas, and that's during the late afternoon and early evening hours. Okay. Well, that is it for me, my friends. I guess things got to need to go do, but thanks for checking in. Your comments, questions, concerns, all that kind of stuff. Always good to see them, hear the interaction, see the interaction, see your jokes. And we will talk again soon. And be careful tomorrow if you have some storms. I'll keep an eye on it, and I may be going live if I do see that there is a potential for a tornado to develop in the line of storms somewhere here in Oklahoma. So I will have your back on that. All right. You guys sleep well. Talk soon. Take care.